Get ready to unleash your inner legal mastermind and embark on an exhilarating legal adventure. Welcome to the Legal Odyssey podcast, where we dive deep into the world of law and bring you face to face with the sharpest legal minds in America. I am thrilled to be your guide on this wild ride as we uncover the hidden secrets of the legal elite. Welcome, listeners. I am thrilled to have you here today as we uncover the secrets of the legal masterminds of America and equip you with these supercharged tools to conquer any situation life throws your way. Today, we have special guest Alyssa Vanstone, the owner, attorney, and founder of Vanstone Law in Sarasota, Florida. Alyssa and her team also have offices in the Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville areas. Alyssa comes to us with an abundance of experience in family law, foreclosure defense, and bankruptcy. So I am so excited to pick her brain today and empower you with all of the knowledge to help navigate through life's twists and turns. Welcome, Alyssa. We are so lucky to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
To start us off, please share with us why did you decide to become an attorney?
I wish I had some wonderful story where I had this great epiphany, but it really wasn't like that. I think it was one of those deals where I really just thought it was something that would, even if, regardless of whether or not I practiced or what I did with the law degree, I felt it was a very empowering degree, and that I would find my niche somewhere eventually. So I just sort of decided to do it and fell into it.
Throughout that journey, what led you to focus solely on foreclosure defense, bankruptcy, and family law?
Well, I started out as a prosecutor in the 6th Judicial Circuit. While I was working for the state attorney's office, I transferred to a division that does dependency work for the Department of Children and Families. So that was initially how I got into the realm of family law. It isn't quite what we generally think of as family law, but it's sort of a branch of it. I really enjoyed that work. And so it was it was sort of a natural way to fall into what I do now. In regards to foreclosure, I did start doing some civil work as well as family law. And it really does connect because a lot of parties that are going through divorces find themselves, especially back in 2011, that was around the time we had a lot of more foreclosures.
Right.
And the dip in the market, it was an issue that people were experiencing in divorce as well. So a lot of it goes hand in hand. Having knowledge of both is extremely helpful in resolving divorces and in resolving foreclosures.
And what an eventful journey to have the ability to experience those different kind of areas of law and then come together with Vanstone Law and merge it all together so that you really are satisfying the needs of your clients, whether it goes from divorce over to needing some more help in foreclosure or even the other way around. So I think that's so inspiring.
Bankruptcy fits into that as well.
Right. And so to give our audience an understanding of the passion that really went into the formation of Vanstone Law, can you share what Vanstone Law Firm stands for?
Well, what my firm stands for is we really want to provide compassionate legal services, as well as, of course, top-notch legal services. A lot of people who are in foreclosure and experiencing a divorce or a custody battle, it's one of the worst periods in their life at some points. And when people are at that low, they not only need, fantastic legal advice, but they also need encouragement and just someone to listen to them. And so that's what I want my staff to do. And that's what I try to do as an attorney, is just really listen to people, and just be compassionate about what they're going through, in addition to providing them, top-notch legal services.
I think that's such a wonderful perspective to share, especially with our audience, because it helps in busting that myth of the like lack of EQ with the attorneys, right? There is emotional care with a lot of attorneys, and it just comes to finding the right one that cares more about just your case, but you as a whole person as well, and how you're going to come out at the end of the whole situation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So let's focus on some of the important questions that might come up in the difficult situation of divorce and share some insights with our listeners that can help make the very confusing situation maybe a little bit easier. So, what is an uncontested divorce in Florida?
What us as attorneys call uncontested is where both parties, both spouses, have an agreement as to how they want to divide assets, liabilities, if they have children, how they want to designate, time with each parent. So they've really come together. They're not arguing over anything. They know exactly how they want to divide everything and resolve their divorce.
And so, with the uncontested divorce, what role can a family law attorney play to assist in that process?
Well, an attorney can only represent one of the parties. However, an attorney can prepare all of the necessary paperwork, the marital settlement agreement that outlines the property and liabilities, how parties are dividing it, the parenting plan, which is required anytime there's children to divide up, when each parent's having time, holidays, things of that nature. So we can prepare all of the paperwork that needs to be done. We can get it filed with the court, either set a final hearing or send it in to the judge without having a final hearing. At least locally, it obviously depends on the court and the particular judges as how they finalize, but we can really move it along and just get it done. And a lot of times that's the benefit. People, you have the ability to do it yourself. However, sometimes people just want it done quickly and they don't want to have to worry about that paperwork. So they just, an attorney can help move that along and get all of that paperwork completed.
Right. And it's already most likely a very stressful situation, a bumpy situation in your life. And to have that person in your corner that's handling the confusing parts, the parts that you don't know, the jargon, and to get everything handled, filed. So, like you said, it can be squared away as quickly as possible, even when it is uncontested or both parties are mutually in agreement.
Absolutely. And even in that situation where they have everything divided, there are certain legal issues that could come up that they may not have thought about. And so it is important to have an attorney, or at least speak to an attorney to figure out if there's any issues that need to be resolved that maybe they weren't aware of under the law.
Right. Something that they wouldn't want to handle 5 years from now, but maybe just deal with it during the divorce.
Correct.
So then that brings us to then what is a contested divorce in Florida?
A contested divorce is when the spouses do not have an agreement. Sometimes there's not even an agreement about whether or not they want the divorce. So what happens in that particular case then is one party has to file a petition and serve the other party or spouse with that petition. And just because a case starts in a contested manner like that does not mean that they can't eventually resolve all issues without going before a judge. I think people find that once they start the contested process, that it can be very overwhelming, very emotional, and maybe in the beginning they weren't ready to resolve it, but at some point down the line, they do resolve it. And parties are required to mediate. And most often that's where divorces are resolved if they start off in a contested manner.
Okay, that is super helpful information, especially for those that may be dealing with a more argumentative situation. So, when people do find themselves in these kinds of difficult family situations, what do you think really holds them back from hiring a family law attorney?
Oftentimes, I think it's the money and being able to afford an attorney, which is an issue. Um, it may be sometimes people are just so overwhelmed with the emotion, they just can't move forward or pull themselves out to do that. And they eventually do. But I think, the combination of those two issues is really why people may be hesitant to hire an attorney.
Agreed. And across the clients you've worked with, then, how have you kind of seen people overcome these challenges to be able to hire the attorney to have in their corner?
Well, eventually, even if you don't want a divorce, if you're served, you have to deal with it. So it kind of forces a person to have um, to deal with, because they've been served, they could lose everything if they don't respond to that lawsuit. So, I mean, it's a civil case just like any other civil case, and you don't ever want to not respond to any lawsuit. And whether it be divorce, foreclosure, any type of, it's a serious matter and you could lose a lot of rights if you don't. The other issue is, when it's financial, there are a lot of attorneys that will work with folks with payment plans. A lot of times, clients reach out to relatives or they find somebody to help them pay. There is an ability to get attorney's fees from the spouse, and that would just have to be discussed with any attorney that the individual consults with.
That is sound advice. Thank you. So if we imagine, somebody that is searching for a family law attorney in Sarasota, Florida, Jacksonville, Orlando, what advice would you give them to help them find the right attorney for them?
Well, I think a big issue sometimes is personalities, conflicts in personalities, and maybe how you want the case to move along. Although I will say that to some extent there are things outside of the attorney's control. And we'll be the first to say this is outside of our control, if those types of issues come up. But really, I would suggest consulting with more than one attorney, or maybe you've hit the right one right off the bat. But if you feel you can get along with that person and you like the personality of that person, I think that goes a long way because with a divorce, you're going to be spending a lot of time potentially working with this attorney. So you want to be able to get along and communicate effectively.
And that kind of crosses over still into the foreclosure defense and bankruptcy as well, right? Because it's an individual situation and you really need that attorney that you can communicate strongly with to ensure you're achieving your goals.
Correct. Right.
Lastly, if we're thinking of someone, like we said, that's searching for a family law attorney or even foreclosure defense or bankruptcy attorney in Florida, is there anything else you'd like to share? Any final words of encouragement or guidance?
I think the biggest thing is an individual in that position may feel like the world is ending and that they really have nowhere to go. The best advice is that it will get better. You will get out of that situation. It's not the end of the world. There are ways to resolve divorces, there's ways to resolve foreclosures, to where you eventually, again, both are very emotional situations where sometimes people find themselves not able to really pull themselves out of the emotion and see that there is this legal process happening that's very important that they need to participate in. So the biggest advice I would give is that it's going to get better. Reach out, get sound legal advice, and move forward with making a plan for your life based on that legal advice, because you have to do it, and it will work out.
Exactly. And there's so many people in our history, throughout our history, that have gone through, I mean, obviously the different situations of divorce or different family issues, but even the foreclosure, even bankruptcy, that have just taken on what needs to be taken to deal with it and then moved on with their lives and gone on to be happy, wealthy individuals.
Absolutely, it's possible, and things will definitely get better. But it can be very emotional while you're going through it, and that's always, that's why myself and my staff try to take a more compassionate approach to legal services.
to add to that point, having an attorney in your corner that, especially one that is being compassionate and understands the emotion that you are going through, helps bring clarity to the situation. When you have so much stress and emotion going on, it can be difficult to really even see, what am I supposed to do next? Or what paperwork am I missing? What information do I need to get where? And so, like I said, to have that person in your corner that says, this needs to go here at this date, this needs signed, or whatever it is that needs to be done can really help move things along so that, like we said, you can move past and move on with your life.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much, Alyssa, for sharing your expertise with our audience to help us in navigating through some of the most unknown situations in life. It's really been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you
In
so much. I appreciate it.
And to our listeners, of course, thank you for tuning in to this exciting episode of the Legal Odyssey. As always, remember that this podcast is not legal advice, but it is designed to empower you with the knowledge and insights from the sharpest legal minds in America. Join us next time for another captivating exploration of the secrets that'll have you feeling confident in each life change. Until then, stay legally empowered.